We are present in case 23 CR 000339, State of Ohio versus Carl Gardner. We're here on a scheduled probable cause hearing for a motion to terminate community control sanctions. Defendant is here in court. He's with his attorney, Mr. William Watson. Mr. Watson, what's the defendant's intention at this time regarding the probable cause hearing?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, after talking with my client, he is prepared this morning to not only waive the probable cause hearing, but also his final hearing and enter a plea of guilty and proceed straight to sentencing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner, you have been charged with violating the conditions of your community control sanctions, and specifically there are 4 alleged violations that you committed. The first is a Rule 8 violation, which prohibits you from using, possessing, or having under your control any controlled substance not prescribed to you by a licensed physician. And it's alleged here that on May 1st, you submitted a urine sample that tested positive for marijuana. Subsequently, there's a Rule 1 violation, which requires you to obey all local, state, and federal laws. And it's alleged that on May 10th, you were charged by the Shaker Heights Police Department with weapons under disability, a felony charge. Subsequently, after that, it's alleged that when you were arrested, a urine screen was obtained for you, which again tested positive for marijuana, which is a violation of Rule 8. And lastly, in regards to the incident in Shaker Heights, you also violated Rule 6, which prohibited you from purchasing, owning, possessing, or having under your control any firearm. And it's alleged that when you were arrested on May 10th by the Shaker Heights Police Department, you were in possession of a firearm. And your attorney has indicated, as you just heard, he believes your intention is to waive both hearings and plead guilty. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, before I can accept your waiver of the hearings and your plea of guilty, I need to make sure you understand the potential penalties you face if you are found to be in violation of the terms of your community control. I could continue on community control. I could extend your period of community control to a total of 5 years. I could impose more restrictive sanctions, including an order that you serve time in our Lake County Jail. Or I could terminate or end your probation and send you to prison. If I did that, it could be 6 to 18 months on count 1 and 2. Those could be consecutive to each other for an overall total of 3 years in prison. Do you understand all the potential penalties you face by pleading guilty by pleading guilty to these violations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, having been so advised, what do you want to do at this time? Do you want to have any of the hearings, or do you want to waive the hearings and plead guilty to the violations?
Waive my hearings and plead guilty to the violations.
The court will accept your pleas of guilty, find that you did violate. All right, Mr. Watson, any reason not to go forward with sentencing?
No, Your Honor.
Anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, very briefly, Mr. Gardner is a young man. Obviously, he's got a bit of a problem continuing to be around firearms. I understand that he has not only the new case that he picked up, but other cases as well. He's a young man. The brief moment I've had to talk to him, Your Honor, I think he could have a very bright future. His grandmother's here in support of him. You can see she's in tears, beside herself. I met her out in the hallway. I think Mr. Gardner needs to get some focus and some direction in his life. I know that he's potentially looking at a fair amount of prison time today. He's looking at up to 3 years. I'm hoping the court will take into account that he not only took responsibility at the underlying case, but he's taking responsibility today with the PV. He told me he didn't want to waste any time. So he's manning up today to the court saying, pleading guilty to these violations. And I'm hoping the court will take these factors into consideration and consider a minimum sentence in this case. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Gardner, you have the right to address the court before your sentence. You can say anything you want. Is there anything you want to say at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I understand, and I know that I've made some mistakes that me or my family is not proud of. I've had a great job, a great position to where I can provide for my family for 8 months. And with me losing that job, it put me in a down spiral, and it led me to make some decisions that were not in the best interest of my future, Your Honor. It did not help me and put me in any type of better position to provide for my family, Your Honor. And I do have the job still waiting for me.
What job?
Northern Stamping?
Well, that's the job you lost?
Yes, I'm in position with HR to get my job back because
Why did you lose that job?
point system.
What's that mean?
I pointed out, but the manager, he wasn't accepting my time off, and it was time off that I was like I had coming towards me.
So you get points for doing something wrong or something like that, violating rules or not complying with something?
I was putting in time off, like requesting PTO,
Right.
time off, and he was denying it, but he couldn't deny it because it was earned. So
So you earn points? How do you earn points?
he was denying my time off, and it was I already put in the time off. I'm not.
Oh, so you didn't show up to work?
I didn't show up to work because I requested time off.
I get it.
And it was mandatory that he give me the time off, but he didn't. So HR told me and my family that I could just, keep going to it, and they were going to start an investigation. And during the investigation,
I'm trying to figure out how you earned points to a level that you lost your job. Because you weren't showing up because your time off was denied, so you didn't show up, and then.
But
I understand you believe that he had no right to deny it. I'm trying to figure out why you got points because you didn't show up to work.
Yeah, well, in a sense, but the time was denied after I didn't show up as far as the next day, but it was.
So you put a request for time in, you didn't come to work, and then after that, the next day or two later, they denied it and said that you didn't have a right. It wasn't excused, basically.
Yeah, but it was an excuse.
I understand I understand.
Okay,
but you got points, and at some point, you reached some level of points where they discharged you.
Yeah, and HR said that I can get my job back. They're just doing the ongoing investigation. It's kind of hard to get in touch with the hiring because it's a big company.
When did you lose your job?
Like a month ago, month and a half.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I also have Aerotech, a temp agency, and they were looking to get me into Myers because I do have my 3 certificates in welding. That's what I was doing there. Well, I was a weld operator. So I'm just looking for some mercy. I know and I understand that the mistakes that I made were not in the best interest of my future. And it's the reason that I'm here today. I just want to get back and provide for my family around it.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Watson, anything else you want to say? I know you wanted to say something, so I wanted to hear from him first, but go ahead.
Well, the only thing I wanted to interject, Your Honor, is I've worked in the private sector, and although my client, I think, cleared it up, but if you're late or if you have unexcused absences, most companies will assign a point for that, and then after so many points, they terminate people. That's all. But with regards to that, there's nothing further, Your Honor, on my end. So.
I understand you're saying you didn't deserve the points because you put in. It should not have been unexcused because you put in beforehand.
Excuse
I
me.
I understand all that. I didn't understand the point system. That's just trying to learn what the point system was, not necessarily how it applied to you, just in general how that worked. Well, I have reviewed the original pre-sentence report and investigation. original drug and alcohol evaluation. I've considered the facts and circumstances of the underlying offense that brought us here initially, the nature of the probation violations that brings us here now. I've considered everything said here in open court. This is all considered in light of the purposes and principles of felony sentencing set forth in 292911 of the revised code. For the factors in 292912, I'm going to incorporate all the findings I made at the time of the original sentencing regarding the seriousness factors and the recidivism factors, with the additional finding today that the defendant has failed to comply with previously imposed sanctions ordered by this court, which is a factor indicating recidivism is more likely. The problem here isn't necessarily the positive screens. Obviously, you're not supposed to use marijuana, and you did, and if that was the only issue, we could address that. But you're continuing just to commit the same offenses that brought you here to begin with. You are on, you committed the offense, the original offense, and while that was pending, you committed another one in Cuyahoga County, same exact type of offense. And then when you're on probation to me, you're still playing around with guns and committing the same offense. So you haven't learned anything in that regard. And if you're going to be on probation and commit the same offense that you're on probation for, you're not probationable. The court finds that at this point, defendants no longer amenable to available community control sanctions, and that prison is consistent with the purposes and principles of sentencing. Therefore, it will be the sentence of this court that on counts 1 and 2, defendants serve a term in prison of 16 months on each count. I'll run those concurrent for an overall total of 16 months with credit for 125 days he's already served. I need to advise you upon your release, you can be placed on post-release control for up to 2 years. If you are and you're violating those conditions, the parole authority can send you back to prison as punishment for violating the rules for another, the maximum being 8 months, 50% of the term I just imposed. Any additional prison term imposed for violating post-release control is being imposed as part of the sentence at this time. And the defendant's ordered to pay all costs incurred in this action. Mr. Watson, is there anything else for the record?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All rise.